Daniel opened his eyes slowly. A soft blue light glowed above him, bathing the room in an otherworldly shine. The air felt warm, yet the scent was strange, like flowers he had never smelled before. His body felt heavy, as if he had been sleeping. For years, when his vision cleared, he realized he was lying on a smooth, silver bed that seemed to float above the floor. Shapes moved around him. Tall and graceful, they were women, but not human. Their skin had a faint shimmer, their hair long and flowing in colors no human could have naturally, shades of silver, violet, and pale blue. Their eyes glowed faintly, like moonlight on water. They were speaking in a language Daniel couldn't understand. Their voices soft and melodic. He tried to sit up, but his muscles ached. One of the women stepped closer, her long robe trailing behind her. She touched a panel beside the bed, and a wave of warmth spread through his body, making him feel stronger. "You are safe," she said in perfect English, though her accent was unlike anything he had heard before. "My name is Serenia. I am the High Keeper of this vessel." Daniel blinked, confused. "Vessel? Where am I?" he asked. "You are far from your world," she replied calmly, "and far from the time you knew." Her words sent a chill through him. "What do you mean?" he whispered. She looked into his eyes, her expression unreadable. "You were dead, Daniel. But we brought you back." The sentence hit him like a shock. He remembered lying in a hospital bed on Earth, weak, breathless. The faces of doctors blurred before his eyes, the sound of machines fading, and then nothing. Now here he was, breathing again, his heart pounding in his chest. "How is that possible?" he asked. Serenia smiled faintly. "We have ways your kind never discovered." The other alien women were still watching him from a short distance, whispering softly to each other. Some looked curious, others almost hungry. Daniel's pulse quickened. Why would you bring me back?" he asked, his voice shaky. Serenia's smile did not fade, but her eyes seemed sharper now. "We did not bring you back without reason," she said. "You have a purpose here." He waited for her to explain, but she turned away, speaking to one of the others in their strange language. Daniel's frustration grew. "What purpose?" he demanded, but Serenia only glanced at him, her expression telling him that answers would come later, when they decided, not when he asked. The silver bed lowered gently to the floor. Serenia gestured for him to stand. He hesitated, but his legs felt steady now. The women formed a loose circle around him, guiding him toward a large archway at the far end of the room. As he walked, Daniel noticed the walls glowing faintly with moving patterns, almost like constellations shifting in the night sky. They entered a long corridor with crystal-like panels and strange floating lights. Through a tall window, Daniel saw an endless sea of stars. His breath caught in his throat. He wasn't on Earth, not even close. The realization hit him hard. He was in deep space, in the hands of beings he knew nothing about. At the end of the corridor, they stopped before another set of doors. Serenia touched a glowing mark on the wall, and the doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a circular chamber filled with plants that seemed to glow faintly, their leaves shimmering with soft light. The air smelled sweet and fresh, almost intoxicating. "Rest here," Serenia said. "You will need your strength." Daniel stepped inside, still feeling as if he were in a dream. The alien women slowly left, though he could feel their eyes on him until the doors closed. He sank onto a bench made of smooth crystal, running his hands over its cool surface. Everything was beautiful, but there was an edge of unease beneath it all. Why had they brought him back? Why were there only women? And why did some of them look at him as if he were more than just a man, as if he were something they desperately needed? In the silence of the glowing garden, Daniel's mind raced. Whatever their reason, he knew one thing for certain: his life was no longer his own. Daniel woke to the sound of soft chimes. The air around him was warm and filled with a faint, floral scent. When his eyes opened, he found himself still in the crystal garden Serenia had shown him, But now it was different. Brighter, alive, almost breathing with him tall. Alien trees with silver leaves swayed gently, though there was no wind. Vines with glowing flowers curled around glass pillars, their petals pulsing softly like they had a heartbeat. Small, delicate creatures with wings of light drifted through the air, leaving trails that faded like falling stars. It was the most beautiful place Daniel had ever seen, and yet, something about it felt wrong. As he walked deeper into the garden, he noticed something strange. Everywhere he looked, there were alien women tending to the plants. Some knelt by glowing roots, whispering softly as if speaking to the soil. Others picked fruit that shone like gems, their movements graceful and slow. Not a single man was in sight. When they noticed Daniel, they paused. Some smiled shyly, others stared openly, their eyes scanning him from head to toe. One of them whispered to another, and they both covered their mouths, trying not to laugh. Daniel's cheeks grew warm. It felt like walking through a room where every conversation stopped just because he entered. He sat near a pool of water, so clear he could see glowing fish swimming beneath the surface. A soft voice came from behind him. "You shouldn't drink from that." Daniel turned to see a young alien woman. Different from the others, her eyes were bright, her hair a deep violet with strands that shimmered like starlight. "I'm Lyra," she said. Sitting beside him without hesitation, Daniel studied her. She looked younger than Serenia, maybe closer to his own age. "What's wrong with the water?" he asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "It's not for drinking. It's for something else." Her words trailed off, as if she had said too much already. They sat in silence for a moment before Lyra leaned closer, lowering her voice. "They are preparing you," she whispered. "For what?" Daniel asked, his voice just as quiet. Lyra hesitated, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "For the purpose they brought you back for," she said. "You don't understand yet. But you will." Daniel felt his stomach tighten. He wanted to ask more, but Lyra suddenly stood up, her expression changing. Serenia was approaching, her silver eyes fixed on them. "Come, Daniel," she said smoothly. "The council wishes to see you." As they walked through the garden toward a massive crystal archway, Daniel noticed statues hidden among the plants. The sculptures were carved from shimmering stone, each showing a woman with a man, but the men were human. The poses were strange, intimate, almost ceremonial. Daniel looked away quickly, a cold feeling settling in his chest. The archway opened into a long spiraling hall lined with glowing panels. Daniel could feel Lyra's eyes on him, as if she wanted to warn him about something but couldn't speak. Here, he didn't know why, but he could sense that every step he took was bringing him closer to a truth he might not want to hear. As the hall opened into a grand chamber, the light dimmed. A ring of alien women in flowing robes stood waiting for him, their faces hidden beneath glowing veils. Serenia stepped forward, her voice calm but heavy with authority. "Daniel of Earth," she said, "your true purpose will now be revealed." Daniel stood in the center of the grand crystal chamber. The floor beneath him glowed faintly, as if it was alive around him. 12 tall thrones formed a perfect circle. On each throne sat an alien woman, their robes shimmering like liquid silver. Their faces were partly hidden by thin veils, but their eyes burned with quiet intensity. Serenia stood beside him, her hands folded neatly in front of her. "Daniel of Earth," she began, her voice echoing in the chamber. "You have been chosen by the Council of Alara." The robed women did not move, but Daniel felt their attention like a physical weight. He swallowed hard, unsure if he should speak. "You were brought here for a reason," Serenia continued. "A reason older than your own world." One of the veiled women leaned forward, her voice deep and calm. "Our people are dying," she said. "Our males have been gone for over 300 years. Daniel's eyes widened. Another council member spoke. "Our archives show your species is compatible." Daniel took a step back. "Compatible? For what?" he asked, his voice sharp. The answer came like a blade. "To give us children," Serenia said softly. To restore what we have lost. Daniel froze. He had suspected something strange was going on, but hearing it spoken so plainly made his heart pound. You brought me back from death just so I could breed for you? He asked. The council members remained silent, their gazes unblinking. Finally, the deep-voiced woman replied, "It is not breeding, it is survival." Daniel's mind spun. On Earth, he had been an ordinary man. Here, he was suddenly a rare resource, one they would not let go of easily. "I'm not agreeing to this," he said, his voice trembling but firm. "You think you have a choice?" Serenia asked, tilting her head. "We gave you life again, Daniel. Without us, you would still be nothing but dust beneath your Earth's soil." The words struck him like a cold wave. He realized then that his second chance at life came with a price. And if he refused to pay it, they might take it back. He looked at Lyra, who stood quietly near the back of the chamber, her eyes filled with worry. For a brief second, her gaze told him something, a silent warning that this was only the beginning. Council's leader rose from her throne. She stepped down slowly, each movement deliberate. Her long robe trailing like a shadow, she stopped in front of Daniel, close enough for him to feel the faint warmth of her presence. "Your body is now property of the Alara," she said, her voice smooth as silk but sharp as glass. "You will begin the first test at sunrise." Daniel's pulse quickened. He wanted to run, to shout, to fight. But as the glowing floor beneath him pulsed with light, he realized something terrifying. Whatever they had done to bring him back, it might also mean they could control him, and tomorrow they would find out exactly what he was capable of. Daniel was woken before the false sun had risen in the alien sky. Two silent guards, taller than him and wearing dark crystal armor, stood at the doorway. They gestured for him to follow, their glowing staffs humming softly in the air. Daniel glanced at Lyra, who was standing in the corner of his chamber. Her eyes met his for a brief moment, and in that moment, he saw fear. They led him through narrow hallways where the walls shifted with soft patterns. Every turn felt the same, every corridor designed to confuse and trap. Finally, they stopped before a black door, unlike any he had seen before. Its surface was smooth but rippled faintly, as if it were breathing, without a word. The guards pushed it open. The chamber inside was dim. Glowing lines ran along the walls, converging at a raised platform in the center. Machines with shifting shapes floated silently above the floor. Daniel's chest tightened as he was guided toward the platform. Serenia was already there, her expression calm, almost cold. "This is the first test," she said. Her voice carried a strange weight, as if this was more than just an examination. Daniel stepped onto the platform, and the air seemed to thicken around him. A faint hum filled the room, growing stronger with each heartbeat. Lyra entered quietly, carrying a small device in her hands. "She will assist you," Serenia said, gesturing toward Lyra. Lyra didn't meet Daniel's eyes as she began attaching thin, glowing strands to his arms, his chest, even his temples. The strands pulsed faintly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. Daniel's breath grew shallow. "What is this supposed to do?" he asked. Serenia's lips curved slightly. "It will measure everything about you," she said. "Your strength, your reactions, your compatibility." The word hung in the air like a warning. Daniel's pulse quickened. He felt the platform shift beneath him, rising slightly as the floating machines drew closer. One machine hovered directly above him, releasing a soft mist that smelled faintly of the glowing flowers from the garden. His body reacted instantly, warmth spreading through his skin, his heartbeat quickening. Lyra's hands trembled as she adjusted the readings on her device. Serenia watched closely, her eyes sharp and calculating. Then came the second part of the test. The walls lit up with shifting lights, patterns that seemed to move inside his mind. He heard faint whispers, not in English, but still understandable somehow. They were urging him, pushing emotions into his thoughts that weren't his own. He clenched his fists, refusing to let them take control. Suddenly, Lyra stepped closer, her voice low. "Don't fight too hard." She whispered quickly, "If they think you're dangerous, they'll sedate you for the next phase." Daniel's jaw tightened. He realized she was trying to protect him, even in front of Serenia. He nodded slightly, letting his breathing slow. After what felt like hours, the machines withdrew. The strands retracted into the platform, leaving faint marks on his skin. Serenia stepped forward, her gaze fixed on the readings Lyra handed her. Her lips curved in something between approval and satisfaction. "You will do," she said softly. "Tomorrow, we begin the real preparation." Daniel's stomach turned at her words. He looked at Lyra, who gave him the smallest shake of her head, a silent plea for patience. As the guards escorted him out of the chamber, Daniel knew two things for certain. The first test wasn't about his health. It was about ownership, and the next phase would be far worse. Daniel was returned to his quarters after the first test. The false sun above the crystal dome was setting, painting the alien sky in shades of silver and violet. The air was calm, but his mind was not. Every breath reminded him of the strange mist, the whispers, the way Serenia's eyes seemed to look inside him. He paced the room. He had no idea what real preparation meant, but the tone in Serenia's voice had been enough to make his skin crawl. The door slid open without warning, and Lyra stepped inside, moving quickly. Her usual calm expression was gone, replaced by something sharp, urgency mixed with fear. "We don't have much time," she whispered. Daniel froze. "What do you mean?" Lyra glanced at the corners of the room, as if searching for hidden watchers. "They monitor everything," she said, "but there are gaps in the system. Small ones, only at certain times." She handed him a small black crystal, no bigger than his thumb. It pulsed faintly, like it had a heartbeat of its own. "This will block their scanners for a short time," she said. "But only once." Daniel turned it in his hand, the surface warm. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. Lyra hesitated. "Because the Council's plan for you is not about survival," she said softly. "It's about control." Her eyes locked on his, and Daniel felt the weight of her words. "They can use your DNA without your consent. But they want more. They want obedience." Daniel's stomach twisted. He remembered the whispers during the test, the patterns in the light. "They're trying to rewire me," he muttered. Lyra nodded. "If they succeed, you won't even want to leave." The idea sent a chill through him. "What's your plan?" he asked, his voice low. "There's a rebel colony on the outer edge of the system," Lyra explained. "They believe humans should have a choice, not be farmed." The word hung heavy between them. She took a quick step toward him. "At the next light shift, the guards will rotate. It gives us 5 minutes before new patrols arrive." Daniel glanced toward the sealed door. "And if we're caught?" Lyra's voice was steady. "Then they'll finish the ritual early, and you'll never be free again." Daniel's hands clenched around the crystal. Every part of him wanted to leave this place, to wake up and find out it was all a dream. But deep down, he knew this was his reality now, and if he didn't act soon, it would be permanent. Lyra's head snapped toward the door. A faint hum in the walls signaled movement nearby. "They're coming," she hissed. "Hide the crystal now." Daniel slipped it into the lining of his tunic just as the door slid open. Serenia stood there, her expression calm, her silver eyes unreadable. "It is time," she said, her gaze sweeping over both of them. "For what?" Daniel asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The first ritual," Serenia replied, a faint smile on her lips. "You will walk into the future of our people." Daniel didn't miss the way Lyra's hand tightened into a fist, and he understood. If they couldn't escape now, they might never get another chance. Daniel was led through long winding corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The air grew warmer with each step, carrying a faint scent of burning incense. The walls glowed with deep red light now, different from the soft blues and silvers he had seen before. It felt heavier here, as if the space itself knew something important was about to happen. The guards stopped before massive black doors carved with twisting patterns. Symbols glowed faintly along the edges, pulsing in rhythm with Daniel's heartbeat. When the doors opened, the sound hit him first. A low, steady chant that echoed through the chamber. Inside, hundreds of alien women stood in perfect rows, their faces hidden beneath shimmering veils. The air vibrated with their voices, deep and almost hypnotic. In the center of the hall was a raised circular platform made of glass-like crystal. It shimmered with streams of light that flowed across its surface like liquid stars. Daniel was guided toward it, his steps slow. His eyes scanned the vast room. No windows, no exits except the one he came through. The crowd seemed to close in around him, their eyes glowing faintly under the veils. Serenia stood at the far end of the platform, her robe a deeper shade than the others. In her hands, she held a silver staff topped with a small sphere of swirling light. "Daniel of Earth," her voice rang out, carrying over the chants. "Today you will be bound to the Alara." The crowd's chant grew louder, faster. Lyra was nowhere in sight, and his chest tightened. Two attendants approached him, without speaking. They removed his outer tunic and replaced it with a long white garment made of a strange, weightless fabric. Symbols began to glow faintly on the floor beneath him, forming a ring of light around his feet. The hum in the air deepened, and Daniel felt the same strange warmth from the first test creeping through his body. He tried to step back, but his legs felt heavier than before. Suddenly, a shadow moved at the edge of the crowd. Lyra emerged from between the rows of chanting women, her face uncovered, her eyes burning with urgency. She pushed through the attendants, ignoring their shouts, and reached Daniel. Her voice was low but sharp. "If they complete this, you won't be yourself anymore." Daniel's heart pounded. "Then stop it," he said, his voice tense. Lyra pulled something from her sleeve, the black crystal she had given him earlier. She slammed it onto the glowing floor, and the light instantly flickered. The chanting wavered, some of the women looking around in confusion. Serenia's voice cut through the chaos. "Seize her!" Guards rushed forward, but Lyra grabbed Daniel's wrist and pulled. The glow beneath the platform shifted violently, sending a pulse of energy through the air. Daniel's vision blurred as the hall seemed to twist around him. The chanting turned into sharp cries, the smell of burning metal filling the air. "Run!" Lyra shouted, dragging him toward the only exit. The guards closed in from all sides, but the crystal's interference made their weapons flicker and fail. They were almost at the door when Serenia raised her staff high. The swirling sphere at its tip flared, sending a shockwave across the hall. It hit Daniel like a blast of ice and fire all at once. His knees buckled, the world spinning in flashes of red and white light. The last thing he felt was Lyra's grip tightening, refusing to let go even as the darkness closed in. Daniel woke to the sound of rushing wind. The air was cold now, sharp against his skin. He blinked. Vision blurred until shapes began to form. He was lying inside a dim metallic chamber, the ceiling low and curved, faint blue lights traced along the walls, and somewhere nearby, an engine hummed steadily. A shadow moved beside him. Finally, Lyra's voice said, relief flooding her tone. Daniel turned his head to see her sitting against the wall, a small blaster resting across her knees. Her violet hair was messy, strands falling over her glowing eyes. "We're safe for now," she said, though her voice carried a weight that told him safety was temporary. Daniel sat up slowly, his muscles aching. "What happened?" Lyra leaned back, her gaze fixed on the narrow viewport at the far end of the chamber. "I got you out before Serenia could finish the ritual," she said. "But not all of it was stopped." Daniel felt a cold pit in his stomach. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then looked at him directly. "The ritual linked you, partially, to their network." Daniel frowned. "Linked? How?" "It means," Lyra said quietly, "they can sense you now, anywhere in the galaxy. And they will come." Daniel rubbed his face, frustration burning in his chest. "So we just run forever?" Lyra shook her head. The rebels can hide you. But if we don't break the link, you'll never be free. Silence filled the chamber, broken only by the steady hum of the ship. Daniel stared at the floor, his mind a storm of thoughts. Lyra moved closer, her voice softer now. You can vanish with us. Start a new life far from their reach, she said. Or you can go back and face the council, end this for good. Daniel let out a slow breath. If I go back, they'll try to finish what they started. Lyra nodded. Yes. But if you win, they'll never do it to anyone again. For a long moment, Daniel said nothing. He thought about the glowing garden, the council's cold eyes, the sound of the chanting. He thought about Earth, about dying once already, and about being given a second life, only to have it claimed by someone else. Slowly, he stood, his fists tightening at his sides. I'm done running, he said, his voice steady. Lyra studied him, then gave a single firm nod. Then we go back. Daniel stepped toward the viewport, staring out at the endless sea of alien stars. He had been stolen from death, claimed by strangers, and turned into a prize to be owned. But now he would choose for himself. I died once, he whispered, his reflection staring back at him in the glass. I won't waste my second life.